The Cleveland Browns and their quarterback situation, interesting to say the least. They've got, I believe, 38 quarterbacks currently on the roster. Deshaun Watson's just sitting around. Kenny Pickett has got a hamstring issue. Joe Flacco's getting most of the ones. And then you've got Dillon Gabriel and you've got Shedeur Sanders. First and foremost, the Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam, spoke yesterday about the process that went into drafting one Shedeur Sanders and said it went down like this.
We have good process, okay? And if you'd have told me Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. But we had a conversation early that morning, and then we had a conversation later that day. I think we had the right people involved in the conversation. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur.
All right. Anybody buying that? Because I'm not.
I'm going to let Q take it first. I'm curious to hear.
Oh, I mean, he's going to put on Andrew Berry, but I think anytime you draft a player, especially like Shedeur, who you kind of know what's coming along with that, given the Sanders family, there's no doubt that the owner was involved. Because the owner is going to have to deal with questions like this in the future. So think about it this way. If Andrew Berry just took him, right, and this is very similar to when you go back to the still shot we had of Arthur Blank, or even the video clip of Arthur Blank talking to the general manager of the Falcons last year after, signing Kirk Cousins and then drafting Michael Penix. There's this okay, help me understand what's going on here. There's those moments. Same thing would have happened, where Jimmy Haslam was calling Andrew Berry going, what are we doing? We've got a guy who's injured. We've got a veteran. We've got another guy we traded for. We already drafted a guy in the 3rd round. Now we're taking a guy in the 5th round. What's the plan here? There would need to be an explanation. And honestly, the one that probably has the most following or media attention is going to be the 5th round pick. So Jimmy Haslam had to have been a part of the decision making process because of that alone. Now, will he take the fault for it when it's all said and done? Of course not. No different than the other head coaches or general managers that Jimmy Haslam has had that he's fired, where he's probably played a factor in some of those decisions, right? It's his team. They're not going to fire him as owner. So he just has people underneath him that have to be able to fall on the sword. So I don't think there's any doubt Jimmy Haslam was involved, whether he wants to admit it or not. To what degree? Who knows? I mean, I've heard all kinds of things of how this came together. And no matter how you slice it or which way it's discussed, he was involved.
What sort of things? What do you mean? What can you share?
I will put it this way. The league is very connected. And there are times where you'll have agents who have multiple players on a team. And there are times where you'll get people who, they want to do favors or be good on some certain things. I know it sounds vague, but I'll kind of just leave it at that. Because I don't want to go into it too much more, but that happens sometimes. So where you'll have an agent with a star player on a team and maybe a guy who's younger or, he's looking to get a roster, get a shot. Maybe he gets that shot.
I'm going to say this, and looking at the scenario and how it all played out, all of the attention that was focused in on Shedeur during the draft, they had to know what they were getting themselves into the moment they said we're entering our pick as Shedeur Sanders, our selection for Shedeur Sanders at that point in the draft. The first thing I felt when I heard Haslam say that was he's distancing himself from the connection to the pick. And I wonder, is this a distancing so that if it doesn't play out the way that, maybe people want it to play out, that he's not further to blame? Because it seems as though Haslam gets a bad rap as an owner. Like, it seems like a lot of people attack Jimmy Haslam, especially after Deshaun Watson deal that took place. So now, on one side of it, there was a major commitment made at the position, and you took heat for it, and you caught hell for it. And outside of Shedeur Sanders having a fair opportunity to play himself into the position or out of the position, it seems as though any decision that is made about Shedeur Sanders will also place Jimmy Haslam in a not so glowing, a not so popular narrative to the fan base and throughout the media. It almost gives me the stench or the stink of Shedeur Sanders. Again, here it is. He may not make this team. It may not play out where Shedeur Sanders ends up on this roster or on this team. And if he doesn't, Jimmy Haslam can say, hey, I don't make those decisions. Those decisions do not fall on my hands. Our GM makes the decisions on the personnel, and our head coach makes the decision on who plays. And that's that. So if you want to get mad at the GM. Get mad at the head coach because the head coach didn't see him as a guy that was going to help this team in a way where he would be playing. And the GM felt it as though we could use that roster spot for someone else that could come in and potentially help our team more. That's what this says to me.